Hello and welcome back to another update as we cover the latest developments throughout the front line. We start out in the Kherson-Dnipro direction where the Ukrainian forces managed to capture the settlements here in the central part of the Dnieper River, where there is these middle islands in between the two parts of the Dnieper River and the Kunka River. So there's some Ukrainian advancements there. The fighting continues here in the central parts of the Dnieper River, but there is no significant changes to the front line. We then move on to the Zaporizhia front, where the Ukrainian forces seem to have restarted their offensive, as we see that there's been advancements not just in the western part of Robotyne, but now also in the southern parts of the front, as well as in the direction of Verbove, both to the north of the trenches, as well as directly towards Verbove. So with these developments, we see that the Ukrainian forces likely have restarted their offensive, trying to take advantage of the Russian allocation of troops and equipment and ammunition and so on in the Avdiivka direction in their own offensive to try and get some sort of breakthrough here in the Robotyne direction. As for the Avdiivka direction, we see that the Russian forces managed to advance slightly here to the west of Krasnoarivka, as well as to the southwest of the village, where they've managed to advance slightly, capturing further parts of the forest plants, as well as here west of Stepove. They're fighting in the direction of the village itself, as well as in the north, where they managed to advance and capture the final parts of the field. With this, they are now closer to what I believe is their objective in the north, which is to get a front line here by the railways as well as the forest lines that goes here to the north to allow them to have defensive positions here that are straight. Therefore, we see continued operations by the Russian forces here in the north. There's also some positional fighting in the south. However, there's been no major developments here. As for the Bakhmut direction, we see that the Russian forces managed to advance slightly here in the direction of Klishchiivka, trying to gain control over the forest lines here to the south and to the north of Klishchiivka, where we see fighting continuing here. We also see that the Ukrainian forces continue trying to gain full control over the heights here to the east of Klishchiivka, but it remains a gray zone. And we have also previously seen some operations by the Russian forces to the north of Bakhmut, which means that the allocation of forces the Ukrainians had in the Bakhmut direction was likely rotated down to Avdiivka to deal with the Russian building up of forces in the direction. And then we have some forces in the Zaporizhia front, which they are keeping there. Finally, we have in the direction of Kotlyarivka, where there's been a minor advance by the first lines, which managed to capture the first line. With that, they have full control over the first line here to the west of Volodymyrivka. And with this, we see that there's continuous fighting here in the Kharkiv-Luhansk border as well. However, there's no major developments here. So with this, we see that generally there is no major developments. The fighting continues positional, and there's a lot of rotation of troops where they are trying to get an advantage by having more troops at one place rather than the other and try to make some limited operations there. This is an indication that both sides have roughly equal ability to conduct offensive operations. Despite the Russian firepower advantage, they have their most elite forces on rotation. Therefore, the Ukrainians have an advantage in the quality of the troops currently at the front line, and therefore they are able to launch their own operations despite the Russian numerical advantage. And that is all for this update. Thank you for watching and have a great day.